There's a stretch of highway in rural Montana that I will never drive again. Not at night, not alone, not ever. It was August 3 summers ago. Me and my college buddy Derek decided to do one of those classic American road trips, the kind you see in movies where everything is golden light and good music and open road. We mapped out a route from Denver all the way up through Wyoming and into Montana. 6 days, no real itinerary. Just drive until something looked interesting. We were 24 years old and thought we understood the world well enough to be careless in it. We didn't. The first 4 days were exactly what we'd hoped for. Roadside diners with coffee so strong it made your teeth ache. Mountains that looked painted. Long silences between us that felt comfortable instead of awkward. We were burning through miles and laughing and eating gas station food that probably took years off our lives. Then came day 5. We crossed into a part of Montana I can only describe as forgotten, the kind of place where cell signal disappears so gradually you don't notice until you reach for your phone and find nothing. Not one bar. Not even the little emergency call indicator. Just a blank, indifferent screen. Derek was driving. I had the paper map. Yes, an actual paper map spread across my lap, trying to find the town we'd circled the night before, a place called Harlan Creek. Population maybe 800, according to the map key. There was supposed to be a motel there, one of those old motor lodge types, with neon signs and thin mattresses and ice machines that rattle all night. At that point, it sounded like paradise. We'd been driving for about 40 minutes on this 2-lane highway with nothing on either side but dry grass and fence posts when Derek said quietly, "Hey, what is that?" I looked up from the map. There was a truck parked diagonally across both lanes about a 4 mile ahead, not pulled over to the shoulder, not angled like someone had skidded. It was deliberately placed across the road, blocking it completely. An old flatbed, rust-eaten and heavy. Derek slowed down. Neither of us said anything for a moment. "Maybe it broke down," I said. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. You don't break down that way. You don't stop in the dead center of a road and leave your truck sitting at an angle like a barricade. We came to a stop about 200 FT back. The engine idled. The road ahead was completely empty, except for that truck. No drivers standing beside it. No hazard lights flashing. Nothing. "I'm going to turn around," Derek said. "Yeah," I agreed immediately. "Do that." He started a 3-point turn on that narrow road, and that's when I saw the second vehicle. A dark sedan had come up behind us at some point without us noticing. I have no idea how long it had been there, and it was now stopped maybe 100 FT back, also blocking our path to reverse. Just sitting there, engine running. I could see the exhaust rising in the evening air. I felt something drop in my stomach. Not panic yet, just a cold mechanical dread. The kind that shuts your mouth and sharpens your eyes. Derek, I see it. Neither vehicle moved. We sat sandwiched between them on an empty highway in the middle of nowhere, with no phone signal and no idea how far we were from the nearest living soul. Then the door of the sedan opened. A man got out. He was tall, wearing a canvas work jacket, despite the August heat. He didn't walk toward us fast. He walked toward us the way someone walks when they already know you have nowhere to go. Calm, unhurried, one hand resting at his side, the other holding something I couldn't make out in the dimming light. "Drive through the grass," I said. My voice came out lower than I expected. "Derek, drive through the grass right now." The highway had shallow ditches on either side. Not deep, not steep, just enough to make you hesitate if you were thinking clearly. Derek didn't hesitate. He yanked the wheel hard to the right, dropped 2 tires into the ditch, and gunned it. The car bucked and scraped, and the undercarriage made a sound like something tearing. But we came up the other side of the ditch and onto the flat, dry grass beside the road, and he floored it. I turned and looked through the rear window. The man had stopped walking. He was standing in the road watching us, and now I could see what was in his hand. It was a radio, a handheld CB radio. He raised it to his mouth. That image, that single image, is what I still see when I close my eyes in the dark, because that meant there were others. Someone on the other end of that radio getting told that we'd gotten through. Derek got back onto the road about a half-mile down past the flatbed truck, and he drove fast. I kept watching the mirrors. The sedan didn't follow us, not immediately, but about 10 minutes later, headlights appeared behind us in the distance, far back, but steady, matching our speed. We drove for 47 minutes like that. I counted. Derek's knuckles were white on the wheel, and neither of us spoke because there was nothing useful to say. Every time he sped up, the headlights sped up. Every time he slowed slightly, they held their distance. Then we came over a rise and saw lights ahead, a gas station, a diner, a cluster of buildings. That meant people, witnesses, safety, and numbers. Derek pulled into the gas station lot and stopped hard. The headlights behind us slowed as they crested the rise, and then, gradually, without stopping, they turned off onto a side road and disappeared, just like that, gone. We sat in that parking lot for a long time without moving. A woman came out of the diner across the street to take out the trash and looked over at us curiously. Normal, so painfully normal. I wanted to cry, and I'm not someone who cries. We went inside, told the woman at the counter what had happened. She didn't look surprised in the way I expected. She looked tired, like someone who'd heard things she wished she hadn't enough times that surprise had worn away. She told us the road we'd come off was known locally, that there had been incidents, that people didn't stop on that stretch after dark, that we were lucky we hadn't hesitated longer. She didn't say what had happened to people who had hesitated longer. She didn't need to. We slept at that diner, didn't even look for the motel, just pushed 2 chairs together and sat upright until sunrise, drinking bad coffee and not talking about what it meant that someone with a radio had watched us go and called ahead to someone else. We drove home the next day, took the interstate the entire way, didn't stop except for fuel. I've looked up that area since then. I've searched for incidents, reports, anything documented. I've found references, vague ones, to disappearances along that corridor over the years. Hikers, travelers, a couple who vanished in 2019 whose car was found on a dirt road nearby with no signs of mechanical failure and no explanation ever made public. Be careful where you drive, and if something on the road ahead doesn't feel right, trust that feeling completely before you find out what it was protecting you from. If this story got under your skin, hit that subscribe button on Mr. Manitou. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done in that situation. I read every single one. Stay safe out there and always trust your gut on the road. See you next time.